Well, for decades now, elites have told the rest of us that they are deeply, deeply concerned about climate change, much more concerned than we are because they're deeper and more thoughtful and compassionate people. Bernie Sanders, for example, deeply concerned.
Donald Trump spoke last night, but somehow he forgot to mention the words climate change. What an outrage.
Climate change is causing devastating problems in our country and the world.
Climate change is the great global environmental crisis that we face.
In fact, climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Yes, Mr. Trump, climate change is real.
It's real, and he feels it deeply. Over at NBC, by the way, one of their anchors recently wondered if climate change is so serious that it might render our lives without meaning.
Fires, floods, storms, famine, the effects of climate change are all around us. And according to a new essay penned by Bill McKibben, it is shrinking our world. Not literally, but livably. I read that New Yorker article today and I thought, gosh, how pointless is my life and how pointless are the decisions that I'm making on a day-to-day basis when we are not focused on climate change every day, when it's not leading every one of our newscasts.
Yeah. In other words, if it's not about climate change, it doesn't really matter. So let's take this seriously just for a second. Why not? They're always telling us, let's take what they say at face value. They care deeply about climate change. But if they care as deeply as they say they do, if they believe the destruction of the planet is as imminent as they say it is, why are they living the way that they do? You just saw the tape of Bernie Sanders. He cares a lot. And the news story came out today that said he spent $300,000 in a single month flying on a private plane. Huh. How could he do that? How could any of them own second homes if they really believe climate change is real? How are they using a car service when they could use mass transit? Why aren't they all vegans? Why aren't they living what they say they believe? They're not. The solutions they suggest, and this is not unrelated, are almost always going to be paid for by other people. The most regressive kinds of taxes, energy taxes, imposed on the masses. Well, as the riots in Paris show, the masses aren't into this. And why would they be? Namiki Konst is a candidate for New York City public advocate, and she joins us tonight. Namiki, thanks a lot for coming on.
Hi, Tucker. How you doing?
I'm great. But I'm a little bit confused. So mostly debates about climate change are one person saying it's real, and the other one's like, oh, we don't really have all the evidence. Granted, I grant everything you say about climate change. I'm just for the sake of this conversation.
Thank you. That's a start.
Yeah, well, okay.
You admit it.
But if you really believe what you're saying, and if Bernie Sanders really believes what he's saying, why is he flying on private planes? I mean, it's a sincere question.
So let's not get distracted from the real issue here. The real issue.
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to let you off that easily. Why is it not a real issue? If climate change, as Katie Church told us, is really the only issue that matters, then why aren't we living like it's the only issue that matters?
Because it really comes down to the industry. If the industry wants to make planes that exist off of renewable energy rather than oil and gas, then we will all be able to live on this planet. It starts at the industry level, not the consumer. You know, it's really not fair to put the tax on the individual.
It's not fair for someone who's telling us the planet's being destroyed to live in a way that suggests that he actually believes the planet's being destroyed. So I honestly, I really don't get it. So if you're Al Gore and you say, nothing is more important than climate change, I'm a better person than you are because I care more than you. By the way, I have one of the largest houses in Nashville and I fly private and I take a Suburban to the private airport, to the FBO. Why should I be okay? I mean, sincerely, why is that okay?
That is not going to solve. Individual choices are not going to solve the disaster that we are facing. We already have a migration issue. We already have flooding. We already have hurricanes that have hit Puerto Rico, have hit New Orleans, have hit Florida, and have displaced so many working people. This is an industry change. We have to cap emissions globally.
But hold on.
And if we don't cap emissions with big industries and policy, then those individual choices mean nothing.
Okay, well, first of all, hold on. First of all, individual choices always mean something.
In a libertarian's fantasy world, sure.
I'm not a libertarian, and I'm not living in a fantasy world. In real life, individual choices matter, or else what's the point of any of this, okay? So it does start with, liberals used to say it starts with one person. I guess they don't anymore because they don't want to be held to their own standards. But the solutions are always like, ordinary working people ought to pay higher gas taxes.
It's not the solution at all. And actually, we are against that. Progressives versus the neoliberals and neocons, progressives understand that this needs to be a huge policy change. The place where we are right now, if we increase the temperature 1 degree, you and I won't be living in D.C. and New York anymore.
Okay, but
we
hold
will be
hold
displaced.
No, I want
and
to talk about the public policy.
Money.
Okay,
yes,
I want to talk about the public policy solutions that will flow from the predictions that you're making. Is there any solution you've ever heard of that doesn't increase the price of energy? I've never heard of one.
Well, okay, so if you're going to be focused on the price of energy, we're not going to have a planet in 10 years.
Hold on.
We have to talk about changing.
Wait, hold on. I thought you cared. I thought you cared about working people.
We're going down a rabbit hole. I want to talk about the solutions. A solution would be a Green New Deal, moving to 100% renewable energy, forcing the companies that are jacking up the prices on working people to actually reduce their emissions so that working people aren't displaced, so working people don't have to pay the cost of hurricane damage and have clean water, and the water is not being privatized.
Volume is not the same as an argument, okay? So just really simple question.
You don't like opinionated women, do you?
I live with 4 of them.
Volume.
You're not getting, you're a sexist.
You're pretty loud.
Now. Okay.
My earpiece is blaring right now.
Let me just ask you a really simple question. Would the solutions that you're espousing now, would they raise the price of gasoline for wage earners, the ones you claim to care about?
I'm actually
Gas would be the same price.
I am against raising consumer prices. That is a neoliberal design. I am a democratic socialist. I think we should pass policies and actually make rich people, millionaires and billionaires and corporations, pay taxes. That's the problem. No one at the top is paying taxes, and the burden is going to the consumer.
But you would allow private planes to fly, I guess, right?
I think private planes have an obligation to change their standards. That is what policy is all about.
So
if we didn't regulate water, solar private plane. I mean, I don't know how that would function, but I think that there are other efficient forms of energy.
Name one.
Energy use.
Really quick, just for fun. Name a renewable energy source that could power an airplane.
Well, I mean, we see it with cars.
Hemp? No, I'm seriously.
You could charge. I mean, there are. Do you know what a Prius is and a Tesla is? You could do that at the level of private planes.
An electric airplane, a big electric airplane.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no engineer, but I have heard of electric cars and airplanes and other forms of electric solutions. I mean, there's also solar generated so that the electricity that you're charging with is solar energy.
We're back to the solar plane. Good.
Or wind generated.
I'd be psyched for that. Text me a picture if you find one on the internet. Now, Mickey, thank you very much. Great to see you.
We have to solve this problem. You can't live in another planet.
Good to see you. Columbia students can't take a joke, it turns out. They're the